What's up, everybody? It is Friday the 24th. I will be sending this out on Tuesday. I'm about to slack you guys here in a little bit just to make sure that you guys have a great weekend. I want you to relax and all that good stuff. But this is going to set us up for the month of June. The main thing I really wanted to cover was essentially how we are to customize everything that we do in the studio, to our intros, to our new people, to our older members who's been around for a long time. It's not their first time around the block. So how do we customize what we're doing to them? So we'll talk about Push 30. I'm going to send in a separate video simply about that. That's going to be entirely different. This is just going to have to simply be with customizing everything that we do for the member. So if we start with the intro process, if they get here 15 minutes early, or if we have 15 minutes with them, front desk gets in there with plenty of time, then you can cover all you want. But don't talk about things that they don't really care about. If they're talking about gaining weight, trying to get stronger, really packing on some muscle, we don't need to talk about a lot of this stuff like having to do with treadmill if they're going to primarily come to Strength 50. Vice versa, if they're training for a half marathon or a 5K or a 10K or whatever else, and they're doing this for their fartlek programming, then essentially we're not going to really talk about a whole lot of strength training and all that good stuff. What we will talk about is our 2Gs have an amount of cardio, they have an amount of strength training, but to somebody who's a runner, we have injury prehab, essentially injury prevention, things that are going to make them stronger. That if you're just running, you might tweak something. The stuff that we do inside the studio is going to help prevent that. So depending on what their goals are, that's where we cater it to the people. Again, equipment orientation. We don't have to talk about parameters and all that good stuff anymore. We don't have to talk about specific buttons on the left side. Again, I kind of mentioned it before, but it's kind of surprising as to the fitness studios around here that they'll just throw you into class. They expect you to know what a treadmill is. Now, if you notice that somebody's never been on a treadmill before, then yeah, talk a little bit more about it. But more than anything, talk about the feeling. Now, we can use challenging but doable. We can talk about uncomfortable. That's perception. So not everybody necessarily knows what that is. The heart rate monitor is there to help kind of have that perception. However, if somebody's never worked out a day in their life, we don't know if they can jog at 4.5 miles an hour. So again, just kind of customizing everything that we're doing. If we have 10 minutes, a couple things that we can shave off is, again, if we're not using the equipment for that day, don't talk about it. If we're going to shave anything off, I would probably take, again, a little bit out of the treadmill. Weight floor is going to be huge. If you still have 10 minutes, you can still review the VVA and say hey, that's basically like having a second coach in the room, and then go over rowing technique. Those are going to be my two big things. If you have 5 minutes or less, you're talking about the treadmill. I probably wouldn't physically turn it on or anything like that. You can talk about the benefits of all that flex tech when you have more time. When you need to get them in, you're still trying to start class on time to the best of your ability. That is without a doubt. However, you're going to try to use those 5 minutes to try to make it concise, but make sure it's what the people want. If they've never been on a rower, I would probably spend a little, and if there's a lot of rowing, I'd probably spend a little bit more time on the rower than I will on the weight floor or the treadmill. If they have been lifting their entire life and they have never really been on a treadmill or a rower, they just don't do cardio, I'd probably not talk about the weight floor. If their technique was fine or whatever, they've been on a rower, I'd probably take their word for it. However, I'm going to talk and drive in the feeling of what the feeling should feel like, what the intensity should feel like throughout the day. I'd probably go a little bit more in detail as to what the cadence is later. But during the actual 5 minutes that I have with them, make sure that they've been on a treadmill, assuming they have, they've been on a rower, assuming they have, maybe they're just not doing it. Talk about the feeling on the weight floor, the treadmill, the rower, because they'll understand the feeling no matter where they're at. And so again, that's just something that I would do. When we talk to them, we need to know their name. We need to know where they're starting, what their goals are, and what their current routine is. Those are primarily the primary four in order to make a prescription. And injuries and everything like that, we're just trying to keep them safe. But we need to know where they're starting, name, but really, again, for the most part, what they're doing currently and more specifically, what are their goals. We make the prescription not necessarily off of the first 5 or 10 minutes we have before class. Rather, you should be having so many touch points that you've got 60 minutes to figure out what the prescription is. It's not going to be 5-10 minutes. I know already before I start class. However, you're talking to them. You're saying, okay, like I can be honest, like you did really good on the weight 4, but the treadmill, like you didn't know how to pace yourself. Not saying that I would say that directly, but if they don't know how to pace themselves, I would frame it in a much more delicate manner, but let them know that it does take a little bit of practice to kind of sharpen that skill of endurance, and they need to work on it. That's how you get better. Don't shy away from actually recommending, just like a doctor, when they have symptoms, they say this will take care of that symptom. Doing more cardio is going to take care of your lack of lung capacity. Doing more strength training is going to help prevent injuries. Doing more rowing is going to help better posture. It's going to be low impact, blah, blah, blah. Stick with what we know. And Orange Theory is the multivitamin. It's about as simple as that. The Strength 50 is like a boost of vitamin C. The Tread 50, again, is like the supplement you take to fill gaps. But the multivitamin is the 2G or the 3G. And depending on what they need, we're going to make prescriptions based off of that. Now, something that is going to be a little bit different is we're going to start using specific prescriptions. So when I say I want you here 3 times a week, you're looking for a new routine, this is it, bada bing, bada boom. I'm going to tell them I want you in a 2G, and I want you in Strength 50 and then a Tread 50, or vice versa. I want 60 minutes and then 1 Tread 50. Depending on what their goals are, we're not just going to say this is what you just need to do, just sign up. No, tell them specifically what you are going to prescribe for them to see the results. Again, always bring it back to the goal. You can, if you have time, you can discover the why. That's going to be extremely important. It's not just, again, hey, I want to lose weight. Okay, that's great. Any particular reason? If it's health, drive that in. This will bring you health. Heart health is what we do. Weight loss typically happens. Performance, when it goes up, typically, your insulin sensitivity regulates, your hormones balance, blah, blah, blah. We can go into all the technical stuff, but you've got to be, you got to have a lot of confidence when we're talking about it. And if you're not a firm believer in what we do, then it's probably going to show. So understand their why, make the prescription based off of that. And you're not just saying everybody needs elite. It would be irresponsible if somebody is not coming to any kind of fitness routine and then all of a sudden you say you need Premier 4 times a week. No, absolutely not. That is irresponsible on our part. So we need to have an amount of empathy. We need to be able to relate to them, and for the most part, we've got to be smart about what we recommend. I've seen a lot of independent trainers who say that you need to do this, this, and this. This is a bodybuilding style, or this is a CrossFit, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, this person needs to learn how to squat, do functional movements like lunging with no knee pain. They need to be built up. And if they don't have that foundation, we have no business recommending X amount of times a week. No, start them off. Make sure that everything that we say makes sense to them. And again, we have to keep their goals in mind. If somebody is doing yoga, which is not our world, Pilates, not our world, and or running outside, those 3 things, really we should, if they're doing those things, we shouldn't discourage those things. If they're doing CrossFit, if they're doing Tidal, if they're doing this and that, have confidence enough to be like, look, instead of trying to do both, just commit to us. Make sure that we're having the confidence to be able to say that, but don't take away the stuff, because some people need to decompress their spine with yoga or Pilates. Some people need the core strength of Pilates. Some people need a long run if they're training for, we're going to have Tread 50. Some people run 13 miles outside. A Tread 50 is not going to be able to replace people's extremely long run. So again, know who you're talking to, maybe for a 5K, maybe for a 10K. But if we're talking about a half marathon, or I want to do a full marathon one day, get the power and the inclines in here. We gotcha. However, the long runs, there's no replacing that. And again, we have to be responsible with what we're saying. A couple things as far as prescriptions, just to kind of keep in mind. If you're ever, which not saying that everybody needs Premier, but let's be real, Premier should be prescribed to most people. If you are going to say Premier is what you need, blah, blah, blah. Again, we'll talk about assumptive selling in a second. But hey, Premier membership, come in 4 times a week. The unique thing about the thing gosh darn, the unique thing about that is we have a quit free guarantee. You come 30 days, and if you don't like it, you get 12 classes in and you decide, I want my money back, quit free guarantee, you get your money back, no problem. That's the one thing that's unique. And as coaches, we are saying that to everybody, and I do mean everybody, that we are prescribing Premier. One last thing about prescriptions is if you're saying you have your Premier is going to get your results the fastest, Elite is going to be the next best option. And if they say Premier, I don't know if I can make it in X amount of weeks, or maybe it's financial, whatever it is. Stick to your prescription. Still say that Premier is what you need. Another option would be Elite or Basic, and if you're running outside or supplement weightlifting, blah, blah, blah. Tell them and be confident and stay with what you said. Stick with what you said, that Premier is going to get you the best results. That's just, it is what it is. Typically the sweet spot, some of the most athletic people I know come to Orange Theory about 3 to 4 times a week, and they do strength training on the side. Some of the most athletic people I know. So again, make sure that you're sticking to your guns. Don't back off just because they don't have the time for it. Be confident. The more times you come, typically again, that sweet spot is about 3-4 times a week, the better results you're going to see, the faster results you're going to see. So again, just kind of keep that in mind. When it comes to actual coaching, if we don't have a lot of time on the front end, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we don't get it, we got caught in a conversation, we are to be having touch point after touch point after touch point. Again, we've got 60 minutes to figure out what their goals are, maybe what their weak spots are, maybe another set of eyes to say, okay, hey, what I noticed is you're lunging and you're favoring one side, or you know, one side is easier than the other. You've got some imbalances, you've got some strength deficiencies, maybe some underdevelopment. We can kind of go through all those things, but we've got to figure it out during class. Don't think that them just being in your class is selling it. That is not selling it. It takes us, because we are what makes Orange Theory unique, especially in the studio. Okay, assumptive selling. So if we talk with confidence, and when it comes down to be like, and I think this is probably one of the more awkward pieces of like, so what do you want to do? Or like we used to say like, okay, Annie or Ashley or Erica, they're going to take you up and then they'll get you started. Not okay anymore. Now we're going to be walking up to the front desk with them if we have the time, and 99% of the time, I'm going to say we have the time. We've got to have a sense of urgency, but we're going to go up to them and we'll say like, this is what you need. And an example of assumptive selling is, instead of saying, would you like to sign up today? You can be like, look, Premier is what you want. You ready to get started today? Give them a high five, blah, blah, blah. And that assumptive selling is, you're thinking that they've already made up the decision in order to start. And a lot of times when it comes to fitness, it's a healthy amount of just like a small nudge in the right direction. We're not getting aggressive, not aggressive in any way, shape, or form, but there's nothing wrong with assuming that they've already made the decision. So we say, let's get started today. Let's get you going. But again, that's after we're walking up. Make sure you always acknowledge the essay. Make sure that we're having some kind of form of conversation. Make sure it's fun. Make sure it's lighthearted. There's a lot of ways to handle the intro and all that good stuff. But before we make the prescription, we can talk about how they felt in class, performance summary, but there's nothing specific. You can cater that to whatever you think they need. Now, most people, I'm probably going to talk a little bit about the performance summary. Not always, but a little bit. Somebody who's really trying to increase their overall oxygen, O2 capacity or VO2, then you're probably going to talk about the time through the ceiling, the times where they spike their heart rate, right? That's going to be a big part of increasing of max VO2. Also, the baseline is going to help when it gets improved. But for somebody who's strength training, they don't care about splat points. What I would say is, if you're lifting hard enough, you might kind of like jump up in the green zone and then come back down. And if you're not, you might have more capacity to do so. Again, I'm not going to have the exact same performance summary key points to everybody. Somebody who is talking about diet and everything else like that. Now, we're not going to talk about diet outside, but I always say if you are trying to lose weight, the calories on the screen should be a reminder to eat, because you're expending a lot of energy within a 60-minute class or a 50-minute class or a 90-minute class. So use that to your benefit. But by the time we come up to the desk and we're handing it back to the sales associate, we are using some type of assumptive language in order to properly close the sale. If they have objections, if we have time, help the SA. If we have got to go, or if it's a quick transition, then you hand off one intro, you pull back the other, or you get back in the studio, but you are not leaving the sales associates out to dry. You are helping them, you are assuming the sale, and then you're helping them to help close. If you have any questions, comments, or cries for help, everybody, please let me know. But for the most part, if we just customize everything that we're doing to people's goals, to people's weaknesses, to their imbalances, to all that good stuff, we're going to have members that will sign up. Those who have been here for a long time, if we take that same approach, we can keep them a lot longer. I think of like the dry try. Dry try is a retention tool. Push 30 is a retention tool. The things that we say and the things that we do on a daily basis is in fact a retention tool. So use them to your benefit. Customize. If somebody's trying to, that they're trying to lose weight, talk to them. And maybe I never went over a specific prescription 3 months ago when they signed up. Maybe you have somebody who they've been here for 6 months, now their goals changed. And if we don't know that, if we're not talking to them, then it's a problem, and that's on us. But this is what I got for you guys. Customize. I'm going to open this up. So once you watch this video, I want you to comment in Slack something that you appreciate about this conversation, or something that you are going to try to incorporate. So we'll leave it at that. Everybody, again, I'm going to be sending this out on Tuesday morning. So enjoy your Memorial Day week. Well, you won't see this by then. I hope you enjoyed your Memorial Day weekend. Peace.